All right, this video is going to show you about comment notes and performance bands in SIS Synergy. So the first thing that I want to do is go to my filters and options. I'm going to show that assignment note. So again, filters and options, I want this to be checked off, assignment note entry. So now what that does is when I click on a student's score, I have these public and private notes. I rarely use private notes just because I don't know what that would get us to have something that only I can see here, but public notes is going to show up on their progress reports so that parents and students can see this. And I'll explain why that's helpful in a second. So I like turning that on. If it gets in your way, you just click this little X button here. The other thing that's nice about it is it pulls up that green arrow that allows us to autofill, which is helpful, especially on something like a classwork or something. So let's say this assignment here, let's pretend nobody's done it yet. So what I can do is double click on this green arrow to autofill everything to be empty. So if I accidentally typed in the wrong spot, that's a handy feature. The other way that this could be helpful is if a lot of kids got the same score. So on a classwork assignment, maybe Jordan here got a 3, Draylin got a 3, and maybe we got a 4 here, but everybody else got a 5. This was just a really well done assignment. I can go to that top student, type 5, and then just click once on this green arrow, and it's going to fill the rest of them down. So double clicking overrides that, single clicking just fills the empties. And now I save. The next thing that we're going to look at is performance bands. This is super duper helpful when you want to see if there are any trends or if you need to correct grades that are less than that 50%. So I'm going to go to my filters and options again, and I have no bands turned on. So my analysis bands, I'm going to edit that. We first have to create the band, then we can edit it, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to click new, and I'm going to type this, call this the less than 50 band, and click insert. So now I'm highlighted on this band, so that's the one that I'm going to edit. I have these pre-created ones from, this is a training account, but I want to go and edit my less than 50. So I'm going to go to this side here and click new, and we're going to call this the above 50. So we'll start with the students that did fine. They got above that 50%. We don't need to edit their grades. So their lowest possible score is 50. Their highest possible score is 100. What this is saying is anyone that scores between a 50 and 100 is going to be labeled above 50. And by labeled, I mean we're going to color code. And sometimes this doesn't work on the first round and you need to insert it first. So if that's the case, I'll click insert and then go back and edit that row. So I want to make these students green. I like this green better. I'm going to click OK. So anyone that is above a 50% will become green in my gradebook. What this performance band is doing is it's really going to label every grade. So I need to make sure that I have shown basically all the options here. So between 50 and 100 is not all the options. There's also less than 50, right? So we're going to click new. And I want to account for the students that got less than 50. So their lowest score, bear with me for a sec, is going to be 1. And their highest score is 49.99. Now, math people, please don't get at me here. The reason we're putting a 1 is because I actually don't want to include the kids that didn't turn it in and got a 0. So I'm hoping nobody is getting less than 1 and above 0. I'm just assuming for my grading purposes that I don't allow that in my class. And the 49.99, we're just doing 2 decimals, otherwise it's going to round it up to 50. I want the kids that are less than 50, so I don't want to include anybody that got a 50 because they'll be included in the above 50. I want this to be an eye-catching red because this needs to be fixed. So we're going to click OK here and then insert. So now I have people that scored between 1 and 49.99, and then I have people that score between 50 and 100. So I need a band for anyone who scored less than that 1. So I'm going to click new. And I'm just going to call this the not handed ins because in my gradebook, that's the only other option here is that we have students that are scoring between or that are scoring a 0. Really, nobody's going to be between 0 and 0.99. And I actually want to keep that as this white default color because I don't want it to be red because it doesn't need to be fixed. It can stay the 0. And I don't want it to be green because it's not really a good thing. I want it to be different in my eye when I see that. If you are fine with it being green because all you want is the red for fix this, that's fine. You can make that default color green. So now we insert. So let's double check. My performance band goes kids between 0 and 0.99, kids who score between 1 and 49.99, kids who score between a 50 and 100. I've covered all my bases here. So I am going to X out of this. It does not change automatically. And I'm going to go to filters and options and turn on that less than 50 band. And this sometimes gets really weird. I don't know why. This is not the right color set. So I'm just going to go click on that and do it again, and hopefully it works. It didn't work. Sometimes this happens where it just gets really wonky. Let's see. Let me just type in NH0 and see what happens. Click see. Sometimes it just fixes itself. Let me go edit the bands again. So that's what's showing up right now is this performance band 1, but I want it to be the less than 50. Why did it change the colors? Okay, so not handed in should be white. So I'm going to drag this down. Oh, that's black. What about all the way up? Okay, that's white. Less than 50 should be that red. It just fixed itself. Sometimes, computers. And then above 50 is green. So maybe it's because I had that default white. So I like this white, red, and green. There we go. So now we can see. We've got red for anyone who's between 1 and 49.9. We've got green for anyone who is above that 50%, and then white for a 0. So that is a student that did not do it at all. And when you're highlighted on an assignment, the colors go away, which is kind of something. But we can still see the red arrow is denoting again that it's got that less than 50. So what we need to do now is go edit those red ones. So let's start with the test. Anyone who's red here needs to have a 50%. So half of 70, because 70 is the max possible allowance for this assignment, half of 70 is 35. So I'm going to go in here and say 35, and then in the public notes, I'm going to say their original score was a 20. I like to put this in the public notes so that parents and students and myself can see they did not actually score 35, right? Grades are a piece of communication. I want to tell parents and students that this student actually scored a 20 on this assignment, and this 50% is replacing it so that it doesn't largely impact their grade, right? That is important, but I want students to know that they did not actually earn that grade on this assignment. And that's why I like this public notes piece. And what I just did was I highlighted it and copied it so it's in my clipboard. So I'm going to go down to the next red arrow. This one is a 21. That needs to be a 35. Original score was a 21. Next kid got a 23. Next kid got a 14. And this last one is that didn't hand in, so that's fine. But you can see I'm typing this in on all of the red arrows. So let's click save. And now hopefully it's all green. So I'll click over here, X out. It's all green except for this white one because they did not hand it in. You can also see this little graying out in the corner. That means there is a note there. So if I click on it, I can actually see that note pop up. And I like that it tells me that I did do that note for these kids. So let's go ahead and fix the Unit 4 quiz as well. So the maximum allotment here was 35. So half of that is 17.5. So anyone that's red, I need to go change to a 17.5. And in the public notes, I'm going to say they actually got a 10. So the 15 needs to be a 17.5. And not handed in, not handed in. The 16 needs to be a 17.5. And now I can save it. And we are all good. So it's all green or white. That means we are done.